Shera, Marvin, dankie dat julle ons join. Thanks for being an inspiration to me the past couple of weeks on Instagram and on Facebook. You guys want to maybe just give a quick rundown of who you are and where you are?
Who we are, a little bit difficult to answer. We're still trying to find that out. Where we are at the moment, we are in China. But all jokes aside, my name is Marvin Matthews. And this is my beautiful, beautiful wife of my youth, I would say. And Sherazaan, and she's been my wife for
many years.
Many years. We've been together for many years, and we love Jesus completely. And we're totally sold out for the cause of Christ. And we are currently residing and have been, we're starting our third year now in China. We're living in a city called Zhongshan. We're about an hour outside of our boat ride outside of Hong Kong.
Okay.
So, no, we are not close to Wuhan. Everybody's asking, what's the north? We are the south. And so strangely enough, our city is very strict when it comes to religious freedom, super strict. So we didn't know that when we arrived here, but it's actually one of the strictest, if not the strictest cities in China.
Yeah, we have a very strict government out here. Yeah. They definitely keep everything in line. Whereas in the first tier cities, you can worship freely and stuff, but out here, you are a stoksilalien. That's my Afrikaans for you.
Come on, girl.
Good job. Stoksilalien. So while you're talking about it, so let's just because Marv, you were one of your View Church leaders, part of the leadership when you guys were in Cape Town. How did you adapt moving to a country or moving to a city or a town where all of a sudden you can't worship as a community anymore? Hoe het jy adapt tot dit en jou familie? Hoe moes jy jou familie incorporate in dit in?
Look, in the beginning, it's very, very difficult. Having had religious freedom for so many years and having had a passion for teaching theology up until a time where I started a college in Cape Town with one of our senior pastors, a Bible college, just before I left. And to come here and to arrive in China, where that's not allowed at all, is very difficult to adapt. But I think we kind of prepared ourselves subliminally, not knowing or not even understanding completely what we were getting into. So when we arrived, we actually found ourselves connecting with like-minded people, which was super weird. Everybody we met was saved, and which was absolutely incredible. So you don't have the corporate worship as in church, but we did start some underground house churches again, which is very, very difficult to do because we're not allowed to evangelize to Chinese people. So most of our members would be, or people that would associate with us would be foreigners.
Yeah.
Who live and work in China.
But I think also, something that Marv's maybe forgetting is that when we did start, we started out in a different city. We lived in that city for 3 months. And in that city, we only started to establish, I guess, like a house church here in Zhongshan. But in our previous city, it was just pretty much us finding our feet. So for 3 months, we were there alone. And I remember this one time walking, and I think it was about a month in, and we were saying, like, we couldn't believe how much closer we had felt to God being completely alone and being completely isolated and taken away from church. Because, like you said, I mean, we were massive avid churchgoers. We were involved in church. I mean, literally, I think there was we were maybe 2 nights a week. Yeah. We were not at church. It was church. But being that those 3 months, like we were so blown away at, you know, I think it's the thing of this, the beauty of it is that we sometimes get so lost in the busyness of church, and we forget to sometimes connect directly with God. And when all of that was taken away, it was just us and God, and like this instant connection and this deeper connection. And there was just all the noise, you know, and not to say, I mean, definitely never forsake the gathering of the saints, but the noise was gone, and there was like a totally different intimacy between us and God that we had never really felt before. And also because we were isolated, our dependency was more on God than on an organization. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was just so different. And it was such a beautiful season, actually. What would potentially have seemed like a stressful season turned into like an insanely beautiful season that was super intimate with God. And it's definitely something, I mean, you know, as we progressed, we went through stages and moved to this city. We got involved with house churches, and then unfortunately, you know, China started to lock down a bit, and we had to dissolve those things, and that couldn't happen because people were getting into trouble. And then again, you start to press in, and it's just a different phase. And it's actually, I think, sometimes a real blessing to kind of take a step and the busyness of it and smash in with God, you know, completely, you and him.
I think also in that setting, we also met Christian people in a previous city that we stayed. And God was so instrumental in everything that he did because he's intentional. And the people that came and they gave us a Wi-Fi router, like, do you guys have this? We're like, no. Do you guys have a fridge? We're like, no. They gave us a fridge. And they're expats, and later on we found out, hey, these people are also saved. Also will have a little bit of a house church type thing in that city, but also all underground. And how China works really is that every city has got its own government. So in other words, if you're related to South Africa, Cape Town would have its own government with its own entry and exit requirements and visa requirements. So will PE, so will Cape, so will Joburg, so will Pretoria. Every little city has got its own government. So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, you know.